All right. What is going on? Hope everyone's doing well. Oh, let me deactivate and reactivate real quick. Hold on. There we go. Yo, what's going on, David? How you doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Before I forget, we have to do this. We have to pick a giveaway winner from. Let me make sure this works. Okay, it's not working. Did I not plug it in right? Give me a sec. I actually changed some stuff around and moved cables, so I must not have plugged something back in right. Those are right, going into the Elgato. The Elgato is plugged in from there. The cable goes where? I gotta figure out what's going on with my capture card. Hold on. Okay, so that's that monitor. This runs through there, back in. So it's got to be the USB cable or something. But I don't see why that wouldn't work. So give me a sec here. We're gonna try something real quick. Why is my capture card not working? Where's this cable going? Hold on, I gotta follow the cables. Yeah, so it's got to be my USB then. Let me swap the USB around. Um, or maybe I can just unplug it, plug it back in. That might work. Hold. Oh, okay. There you go. So now, if I go to my streaming software and I deactivate and reactivate it. Hey, there we go. I know what I'm doing. I've been streaming for 8 years. All right. Hey, what's going on, Paul Bridgers? How you doing, man? How's it going, Paul? I don't know why I say your full name every time, but all right. So this is from our video with the Bend Back Sand Deal, which was our giveaway video for July. It came out in the beginning of August, but that's because I was a couple days behind. Speaking of which, if you haven't, check out, we got our new video using dice to roll your own fly. So check that out. It's going to become like a regular series of ours. I got to clean up, like, I got to make a, like a document or like a nice sheet that we can use. But I wanted to show the process of how we on stream came up with it. But so you could check that out. And that's going to be something we're probably going to be doing during live streams and in videos. But today I got to tie some Albie flies for some Mickelsons for a customer. And then I was thinking maybe we could work on the the table for the ideas. I was thinking maybe we swap some things around or maybe we shorten it. We could make it a D6 instead of a D8. I don't know. But first things first, let's see who's going to win that sand deal with the lead keel on it, that bend back. Include replies? No. Because somebody would have had to left a comment. Yep. 22 comments. All right. Good luck. We got Edward M. Lotkiewixy 2343. Nice, simple, and effective fly. They emulate greenies here in Florida. Thanks for the video. There you go. Congratulations. I'm going to take a screenshot. Oh, wait. I actually have my sheet of paper here. Let me write down. So we'll ship out the rest of this. We got to ship a fly over to Germany as well from the last YouTube winner. Put it in an envelope and hope it gets there. Okay, congratulations. Very cool. Very nice, very nice. Round of applause, Jerry. That's right. If you do end up watching this, I'll need a shipping address in either a Discord DM, Instagram DM, or you can email me, but I'll leave a comment I'll pin the comment and respond to it. So, all right, very cool. I forgot to do that last stream, so I wanted to get that out of the way. And there we go. But, oh yeah. So let me see. Let me pull it up. The most recent video. Oh, I should change my dashboard too, but I'll do that after. View channel. Yeah, here we go. So this video here. And I was pretty proud of this thumbnail. With the dice and the equal signs. I should have, using dice to create new flies. I should have done, I don't know. I thought of a different, better thing, but anyways, it was a good video. So check it out after the stream if you haven't. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to have a resource for everybody, for the community. We're creating like a table with like either 1 through 8 or 1 through 6, and that's different types of techniques. And then we'll have a 1 through 4 table for different types of materials, generic types of materials. And then we'll have a separate option if you want to go deep into it. You can have, there'll be 1 through 20, like a empty space that you can fill in specific materials, and then you can roll a d20. So what you can do is you could be like, all right, for the tail section, I have 20 different materials here I'm going to use, potentially, out of the materials I have that I was like, you know what, these are 20 I want to potentially tie with out of the pool. Or it could just be 5. You could fill as much as you want. But there's like certain increments for dice rolling, but for different types of dice. But you have their types of material, so then you could figure out what, either for the tail, the body, and the head, and then you roll up each technique, vice versa. So you could be like, that's how we essentially came up with the 888 hollow fly, which was synthetic hair hollow tied, then feathers hollow tied, and then flash hollow tied. But we're gonna make this a series where we roll up a fly, we tie that fly, and it's the process of me like thinking about how do I apply the materials in this technique. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not always going to be good, right? But that's, part of this process. And then we're going to go fish them. So it's going to be like from dice rolling to idea to execution to then fishing with the fly. So should be interesting. We'll see. I don't know if that'll be one video or I got to do 2. I mean, it might be a long video. It might be like a 40-something minute long video if we ended up going fishing with it too. But it'd be a good excuse to start going fishing again, being that the fall's coming and I need to get back into it. And I've not gone fishing since June. So I've just been fly tying, stuff like that. So anyways, happy with the video. And that was a fun experience. I think we're going to work on the table later. I don't want to get too deep into it now. We'll do it later, but I was thinking we might maybe make it oh, my camera is not working, so let me redo it. There we go. It's because the Elgato software got a hold of it before. I was thinking maybe we break it down to a D6, because everybody has a D6. So just 6 techniques. And I was also thinking instead of something like, even though palmered is nice, like how can you palmer bucktail, for instance? unless you just do like make a dubbing brush, for instance. But like maybe we can make it a D6 and have like you know, I don't know, we'll have to figure it out, but like figure eight, V tie, standard, high and low tie, I was thinking, and then hollow fly or half, whatever. We got to figure it out. I do like spinning though. Spinning's cool. Some of them might be a little, like I was thinking, I'm like, if you do get certain combinations, then you're just not, it's really just not even, you almost can't even tie with it, right? But I don't know, that could also be a good excuse to then just like try a bunch of different things. But so we'll see. I was also thinking though, if like people want to do this themselves, like not many people probably have D8s, but almost everybody has a D6 dice laying around from like different board games or roll, whatever. There's many different reasons, but so came out great. Yeah, dude. I made sure to give you a shout out. All right. So we're doing some Mickelson tales right now. So I figured good time to kind of just chit chat about fly tying, fly fishing, the usual, while I bang out some of these tales. Somebody ordered, getting ready for Albies and Striper season. They ordered for them and their friends some Mickelsons. So I guess they wanted to like, he was like, yeah, let me hit up my buddies and we'll all order or something. So I was like, all right, cool. Sounds good, dude. I gotcha. I got somebody that wants to potentially go on like a guided trip, but I'm not a guide. But I said, if we do, I'll take you fishing. But then we'll make a YouTube video out of it where it's somehow like I'll probably just film the whole time or half the time, you know what I mean, while explaining and making sure you're fishing or showing you how to fish a certain area or something like that. Because technically you need a guide license to get money and you need insurance and all this and that. So I'll take someone fishing, but we'll make a YouTube video out of it. So you got a story for me? Lay it on. It's the perfect time. Also, while we do that, I got a new I'm gonna edit it this weekend, but I got a Warhammer 40K battle report, like a narrative battle report between the guard and orcs that will be coming out on my second channel, Mike Rolls Dice. And this Sunday we're gonna be filming our first bolt action battle report, which is a World War II historical war game. And so we have American winter troops from like probably like the like 44, like late war. Like think of like Ardennes forest, sort of like, you know, Battle of the Bulge sort of stuff. And then we have I also 3D printed and got a small box of real minis of German Fallschirmjägers. So we have like Winter War, and then my buddy got Soviet troops. So we plan on making some battle reports with that from like different World War II campaigns, and then they're releasing their new sci-fi version of the game called Conflict 47 coming out in September. So we're gonna be filming some of that when it comes out. But anyway, being that I was talking about wargaming and dice stuff in the last video. A year ago, I watched you tie a Squimpish Hair streamer and was hooked. I watched other masters tying, but they tie wet and dry flies. Well, I'm glad. Hey, dude, there's a lot of amazing saltwater and like freshwater streamer fly. You know, like when I say that, I say like, you know, like musky pike, like big, almost saltwater esque flies. There's a lot of amazing people that tie, and then there's a lot. I mean, that's like there's a huge amount of people that tie amazing flies, but then there's some awesome content creators as well, or people that make stuff on YouTube or Instagram and stuff. So being in Hawaii, we don't have a big fly fishing community. My excuse me, streamer video encouraged me to tie salt flies. I'm now doing it like you. Hell yeah, dude. Well, first off, I'm jealous you're in Hawaii. You got some amazing fishing. Don't get me wrong, we have amazing fishing here, but it would be awesome to be in like crystal clear water throwing at trevallies and stuff like that. So I'm glad you're tying your own flies because you're in a good spot to do it. That's for certain. And that way you don't need to rely on, spending money and buying flies from people, but also being limited to what other people do. Because there may be a specific sort of thing that you need to do for your area, your sort of style of fishing, that somebody who ties flies maybe, and that could be the case. There's times I tie flies for people going around the world, but I've never been there. So I'm doing this to the best of my knowledge. I'm usually reaching out to other people who, have experience in that. Be like, hey, if I'm uncertain, you know what I mean? It almost always works out and they always catch fish, but it's nice to be able to tie your own flies and accommodate your fly choices, better to cover any sort of weird and wacky stuff you got going on. Because there's always, variables that you have to account for in fly fishing in terms of uh, fly variety and stuff and how flies perform. Because you could take 10 different people that tie deceivers, they're all going to be different. It's much more exacerbated when you take flies that aren't simple and that are more complex in how they swim and how like tying bits of material can affect how they swim in the water. So if you take 10 people and have them tie like snake flies or something like that, I mean, you're going to see a much larger difference. And all 10 of them will be good, but everybody has their own way of tying, right? And maybe for your particular sort of fishing, you need a very sparse snake flies that are barely buoyant, or maybe you need, vice versa, whatever. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's what it's all about. Tying your own flies, and if you could sell some at the local shop, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh yeah, you're always going to be giving away flies to people that you meet out there. And people will be doing, it's very common for people that fly fish to be like, "Here, take this fly. This is what I tie, is what I've been catching them on. Here you go." And then you're like, "Oh, here, take one of mine." You know what I mean? I always do that. I usually give people flies anyway because they usually are like, "Oh, dude, you're Li," or something. Or like, "Oh, wait, you're Li Flies Mike. I heard you," or something like that. And I'm like, "Oh shit, they know I tie flies for a living. Now I have to give them a fly, otherwise they're gonna." This guy's swimming in flies. But no, I mean, even like years and years ago when I was a little kid, like you'd always just end up swapping flies with people and chit chat. And that's what was always so nice. Because I used to do a lot of surf fishing, and people that surf fish are serious. Not all of them, but some of them, man. Like I said, they're people burying their fish. They won't even look at each other when they walk by. It's like, you know, the Super Bowl surf fishing. I'd be some little kid like, "Hey, mister, you catch anything?" And they would just turn around and walk away. Get out of here, kid. Hawaii apparently has some good bonefish. Oh yeah. Water, I guess. The issue is it's always windy. Yeah. Oh, dude, I went to Aruba. It's always amazing, like certain islands are just how windy it is just all the time. It's probably why Long Island is blowing half the time. But especially smaller islands in certain parts of the world, it's just like constantly blowing. But that means, makes you a better fly caster in the end. That's what I say. Like if you start with saltwater fly fishing, you're golden. Because if you can brave it and stick it out to where you're like putting down your spinning rod and you're just sticking it out with this fly rod, like you're going to be casting in the wind, you're going to be doing this and that. But when I have people that come from like trout fishing backgrounds and come fishing with me over the years, and it's blowing like 15 miles an hour and they just can't get it out there, and they're not used to throwing like larger fly rods with you know wind resistant flies, like throwing poppers or something if bluefish are around. And they're not used to the wind, because a lot of times when you're fishing in like a smaller river, you don't have to deal with that level of like extreme wind. So then it's just like sucks because it's like, dude, it's like I could be slamming them and it's just that extra 15, 20, 30 feet that I'm getting in my casts is like all the difference between catching fish or not the entire day. You know what I mean? Maybe they're just a little bit far in the waves, in the breaks or something. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do Sunday uploads, and Sunday uploads will be the roll your own fly. It's gonna be in every Sunday, and then anything else we're just gonna sprinkle in random fly patterns, and I'm gonna shoot for Sundays. I feel like Sunday uploads are good, and I think the views do pretty good. Usually upload them around like 11 o'clock or something in the morning. That means though, not this week. We'll do next week. We'll do something else this week. We'll do a random fly. Because I'm going to have to roll it, film it, roll it. Roll up your fly, bro. And then I'm going to have to go fishing. That's the whole idea. Not a very good time of year to go fishing, but should be getting better, though. I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting some bonito showing up. A little bit of a drive, but... dude. Who knows if I'll ever get this boat fixed. It's looking like I got to get a new motor now at this point. With how shot the Honda is. Or at least the rest of the components. Like the motor's probably fine, but the whole swivel case is screwed, and I gotta like remove the motor. I gotta take it all apart, and I can't even find the parts for it because it's so old. So if I had like a marina yard, maybe, but might be nice just to get like a used motor or get a new one. So I don't know. We'll see. In the meanwhile, I'm fishing from shore. Finally saw some nighttime temps getting into the 50s. I mean, it's been like, it's crazy this summer. It has been like surprisingly cool at night. Like, I'm telling you, there have been nights where it feels like it's like probably in the low 60s or something like that, or it's in the high 50s, which normally it would be like 80, 90 degrees throughout the night in years past. And this is why you'd have to have an AC unit in your window or something, because like a fan wouldn't cut it. You'd be like dying, This year, though, it was like we would get 80, 90 in the day, and then it would cool down to, you know, 60 degrees, 50 something at night. It's crazy. Maybe not 50s, but it feels like it. Like I literally was wearing a sweater like half of the nights this summer, sitting out back at like, 12 o'clock at night or something. They usually stay up pretty late anyway. Old Smuggler, how's it going? I'm glad you could finally catch a live stream. Appreciate it. Working on some Mickelsons for a customer right now and just chit-chatting with everybody. I hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. Does anyone have plans? They going fishing this weekend? Oh, a little side note. I think it's been so many years, and if you've been watching the stream for a while, I'm like super allergic to poison ivy. It's like a actual fear of mine. Like I could just see it and get itchy. It's like a superhuman sense detecting it, and I feel ashamed to say this, but we saw some in the front yard, and I ripped it out by the ground with roots months ago, wearing like, don't worry, like of course like 10 gloves and like using a bag or something. But I took the extension cord, I put some air in my dad's tires, hit the TPMS light for him and all that, and I went back and looked, and there was that poison ivy. Must have been the roots must have went deep because it started regrowing, and the extension cord went right through it. And I think luckily I didn't get it on my hands, but I think it dragged like across my hip, like the extension cord. So I think I definitely have poison ivy, but luckily I know how to deal with it, and it's pretty much like axle grease. Like used axle grease is a good way to describe it, even though it's clear. So you really got to use like a wet rag, and you got to use Dawn, and you have to like scrub it. So I'm hoping it doesn't spread because it's like I might need to go. It's okay at the moment, but I used to have to go to the doctor and get like shots and stuff and go on medication because my face would get all screwed up, and this is why it's always important like not to touch your face. If you're highly allergic to poison ivy and you're working outside, just don't touch your face ever. Oh yeah, Mikey Fred, I got it on the balls and everything else, and that was not a fun experience as a teenager. Uh, Talking to the doctor too, and she was like, I was like, yeah, this is bad, very embarrassing. I actually missed school for a month and a half because I got it on my face so bad that for like a couple weeks I couldn't see. But the school came to my house. They sent somebody like administration, and they were like, "What's going on? Why are you not sending him to school? Like, we get it. You're saying he's got poison ivy, but how bad could it be?" And I came to the door. This was like after a month of me having it, being on like getting shots and stuff like that. My face was completely still swollen, and my skin was like, I don't even want to get into it because it's bad. Maybe someone's eating. And they were like, "Nope, you're good. You can stay out as long as you want." They just left and they didn't question it. They're like, "You don't even gotta call. Just send him back when you're ready. Like, you're good." It was so funny. I'll never forget that. They were like convinced my parents weren't just sending me to school. They're like, "Nope, you're good. You should not come to school. In fact, the children will be horrified." But and then when I got older, I got much smarter when it comes to like managing it and like being careful. So I'd go hunting, and I've gotten it before pretty bad. I've talked about it before where I cut like 1,000-year-old poison ivy tree thinking it was like an actual tree. It was like somebody set me up to this tree stand when I went hunting with my landlord. He's like, "Yeah, go up in that tree stand." It was surrounded by like, it must have been like a Lord of the Rings Hobbit poison ivy like bush that had been around since Sauron because it was so old and so overgrown on this tree. And I had to cut a bunch of limbs so I could shoot with my recurve bow because obviously anyone who set it up probably shot with a compound bow and didn't have to worry about that. And I had a tiny little exposed area in between my wool gloves and my wool jacket because it's like middle of winter time. It's like, February, it's snow on the ground. And I got a tiny bit of it, and it was like, it must have been the pure, like 1,000% uncut 1,000-year-old poison ivy oil. And dude, it was so bad. It was like months dealing with that. I talked because I went to the doctor. They were like, "Yeah, it's in your blood system." Because it would like go away, and then it would pop up weeks later, and the rash would happen again. I'm like, "What is going on, dude?" They're like, "Yeah, it made its way into your actual blood system. You got like poison ivy poisoning or something." Like years later, it still itches in that spot. It's pretty crazy. Anyways, I got poison ivy, so that's fun. So I don't know if I'm gonna be putting on waders. I was like, maybe I go wet wading. It's gonna be like probably like 90 degrees. I might as well. Maybe I should just go wet wading during the day. Probably be good for the poison ivy. It's very uncomfortable, as you can imagine, but this is nothing. I've laid in darkness with my eyes completely shut for months. So that was like, I think I like transformed into a Shaolin monk. You know what I mean? Through the mental trauma that I went through as a teenager, dealing with that level of poison ivy. Couldn't see, couldn't, all I could do is just lay in bed in complete darkness, being so itchy. That right there will break you. So after that, dude, this is nothing. You know what I mean? Hell yeah. It also makes me paranoid though. We'll be driving down the highway. There's like Sunrise Highway or 495 here on Long Island. There's two main highways that go across. And I can see poison ivy on the side of the road as we're doing like 70 miles an hour. You could see it growing. Like out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, I could spot the patches. I was so disappointed in myself that because I'm not even joking. I had a Dury hand rolled cigarette. I'm sitting there. I was getting set up to pump air in my dad's tire, and I'm looking. I sat there and looked for like 3 minutes, and I'm like, I don't see any poison ivy in that spot. Because of course I didn't just go in there. My paranoia from being so scared about it, I sat there and I looked for like 3 minutes while I was smoking, and I'm like, okay, I don't see anything. I think I'm good. And then I grabbed the extension cord. Rookie mistake, because we also have very nice, just like wildflower, or, just like wild plants and stuff, and some flowers growing there in the front yard. So the poison ivy was underneath the other plants. So the only reason I saw it is because I ran the extension cord through it. So rookie mistake. I should have went in there rummaging. Now I know I need to rummage through before. It's funny. I even, my paranoia. Even I was like, I'm gonna double check before I do this. But it was a rookie mistake. Now I know. You know what I mean? Now I'll go in with a stick. Right. I still need to rip that poison ivy out. It's probably the thing is we've never had poison ivy on my property for probably since we've moved on here, right? Never had poison ivy on here once. And so it must have been like a bird or something. Because poison ivy actually has little, what are they, berries, I think they are? And it's pretty important. There's actually a lot of like birds and different wildlife that eat poison ivy berries. I'm pretty certain it's a berry. Is how they get their seeds spread around. So it must have been a bird. It must have been like bioterrorism from like a blue jay or something against me. But so we haven't had poison ivy here in so long. And how's it going, Mikey Fred? How you doing, man? What have you been up to? You been out in Montauk fishing or what? Might be able to get up to Ausable for trout once the water cools down. Oh, nice. Yeah, dude, I haven't trout fished in years. I think the last time I trout fished was I did a live stream, if I'm not wrong. And I think the last time we went to that river, they like the town above the river got rid of a dam, like a tiny dam there's a lake above the river, and it flooded the entire trout river with sediment. It was like one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I was so upset. Every single trout hole was filled with this like super fine sediment. So like whatever township above this state park or this county park with this like national treasure of a river looked like an English chalk stream. So I hope it's doing good. I haven't been there in years. You got to get like a yearly pass to go there or daily, and you got to like drive through the woods. I used to drive my 240 through the woods. But I haven't trout fished in years. The smallmouth are hitting, but everything is either too hot or too deep to fly fish. Hey, grab yourself a 500 grain sinking line. Come on. We've been mostly fishing Mauritius and the wrecks in front of the inlet and tons of sharks. I know. I've been meaning to go swimming, but I keep seeing videos of just giant sharks, like really close to shore over here. It doesn't matter, but like I'm gonna be swimming alone, so that's like number one thing, right? Just random. You just wait. This is what I'll do. There's like random people swimming. I just swim up. Hey, what's going on? Just go swim up next to them. I'm just swimming next to you because of the sharks. It's like freaking people out. You know if I get attacked by a shark out there, nobody's doing nothing, right? They're just gonna take out their iPhones. Meanwhile, I got a bull shark ripping off my calf. You know what I mean? It takes like 15 minutes for the lifeguards to drive like the 8 miles across the beach. Because you can either go to the beaches where there's 18,000 majillion people all sitting around each other blasting music and this and that at the beaches where there's lifeguards, or you can go to the Cool Kids Club, which is like the smaller little roads here where there's no lifeguards or anything, but it's like it's just little road and then beach section. You know what I mean? Tiny parking lots and stuff, little sections. More like a lot of locals go there, you know, surfers and all that. But I've been meaning. I don't think I went to the beach once last year. I used to go to the beach a lot. I used to go swimming a lot, so I'd like to get into it. But one of my friends almost like stepped on a stingray, almost got barbed. I've seen videos of like stingrays all over the surf and stuff. I'm like, oh god, dude, not making it easy on me. You had a 6-foot black tip go after a sea robin. Oof. Oh, I wonder if there's spinners and stuff. It's the time of year we start getting, because a lot of the sharks we'd see are just brown sharks, which are like ridgeback species, which are actually protected, which are very common that you see people catch. If you see a lot of people catching sharks from beaches, you know what I mean, fishing with bait, it's almost always a ridgeback species, like a brown shark. It's just a generic term for a brown shark. Ridgeback defines the certain species of, or certain types of sharks that have like this ridge from behind their dorsal fin running to the back of their tail. And it's like sandbar tigers, uh is it poor beagles? And no, it's not poor. It's sand tigers and I don't know, some other brown sharks. But then we get other sharks like spinner sharks and potentially like some sort of black tip species and things like that that will school up. And those sharks you can actually like. I feel those are the sort of sharks you can catch on a fly because they're very aggressive. Um, those are probably the sharks you actually want to potentially worry about too. They probably won't kill you, but they'll like might take a little exploratory bite at you. But I mean, we've been seeing stuff with like big bulls and tigers. Like I don't know, dude, that stuff freaks me out. It used to be that like you would never, I don't know, you would never really see that many sharks in general, but we're just seeing so many more sharks in the past years. I think we're just getting like warmer temperatures and they're coming up here and we have such a crazy amount of just marine life, including bunker. So, I mean, it's just the amount of sharks out here is crazy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we do start seeing like a lot more shark activity and people getting bit in terms of like numbers you'd see in like North Carolina or something. Hopefully, I mean, it's never like, you know, it's not like Jaws or something, but the last thing you want to be doing is swimming around. You're peeing in the water in the ocean, swimming alone, and from behind you, a 6-foot brown shark takes a little chunk out of your leg. You know what I mean? Because that could, that's still a very serious thing. If all they got to do is hit like the right little artery or something, and you're in trouble. And then you're relying on the lady and her kids next to you. She's like swiping on TikTok. You're hoping she calls 911 early enough. And like the odds are so low, right? But I'm dude, the movie, it took me as a child, it took me probably a couple years to get over seeing the movie Jaws. That had such a large impact on me. I was scared in the bathtub. I'll never forget after watching that. Because we used to go to the beach all the time too, and I was swimming and stuff. I probably didn't swim for like a year or two after watching that movie. There's like an innate human fear of just like swimming, and our waters aren't clear. They're super like you can't see more than 3 feet in front of you in our oceans out here when you're swimming. Maybe with a drone you can see, but when you're down actually swimming in the water, you can't see anything. So it's always like, oof, it's always a little eerie. In reality, the scariest thing is that you're probably going to get bit by a blue claw crab. That's the worst. You're just like chilling in the surf, and a blue claw crab wages war on you and just starts attacking you out of nowhere. Because he just mows in a lawn and he sees you. That used to be the worst. When we'd have a blue claw latch onto your foot or something like that while you were swimming. Ugh. uh, Good old days. Yeah, I'll go hit the beach up soon. I should go swim. I'll just make sure to bring a GoPro so if I get attacked, I can show you guys on stream. All right. Yeah, so somebody ordered for him and their friends pink and tan Mickelsons. So, which I'd say these and the surf candies, if you're going Albie fishing, like on Long Island, I should include Albie horse. Those three flies. Those are probably really all you really need to fish the majority of your fall fishing out here when it comes to small bait. Because the fishing goes from like, potentially one or two fish working a rip to hundreds of fish working schools of bait and very like fast action fishing to where you can just strip and strip. So these sort of candies and epoxy flies start becoming like one of the main things you use a lot of times during that time of year. You've got a scar on the bottom of your foot from one of those? Yeah. There's nothing better than just enjoying yourself in the water in a blue claw. Some asshole crab just was like, well, you're in the wrong territory, buddy. Yeah, I mean, in reality, who knows what the hell is swimming down there? There's probably been so many times I've like, because you get bumped by stuff. I mean, if anyone's ever saltwater fly fish and you fished in bays, we used to stand in, I mean, there's a good chance you could be probably quarter of a mile from the actual shore in the bay, following sandbars. We'd walk out. You'd be in waist deep water. And it's 3 a.m. at night in like October, November in the bay fishing and stuff. And like you'd get bumped by something big, you know? And there's so many times where we've probably just had like a shark bump into us. You know what I mean? And you hear people that surf fish and stuff like that, they have it happen all the time. It's probably not uncommon. It's probably so many times I've like almost stepped on a stingray as a kid or something. But knowing that, it freaks me the hell out. Should be more worried about the riptide. Yeah, I've actually gotten rescued by lifeguards as a kid once. I think it was one of the beaches further west from us in the next town over. And I think it was me and a friend of mine both got sucked out. And like every once in a while, like there's different types. It depends on how the current is and how the sandbars are, because there could be riptides that are like super super intense and strong, but you're not that far from the beach. And usually how it works is the riptides are like there's section of sandbars, so you can like you won't be able to get in until you get around it. So you're gonna have to just go for a while before you can get back in. Like there's been times we've actually saved like people's lives, like me and my buddy in high school. Like there's like some girl drowning or something. Like it's no joke out here, especially when the water gets crazy. But like as a kid, me and my buddy, we got sucked out and nobody saw us. It was just me and my one friend, and we're sitting there. And I think we might have, I don't even know if we had like a boogie board. I think we were actually swimming, and it was like after about like 5 minutes, because you get sucked out of this sandbar. And this is one where there was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet in between us and the shore. It was like a very big sandbar or something. After I remember like genuinely being scared, like because after a while you start getting tired. And as a kid, you can swim for like a long time. Nowadays, I would have drowned as an adult, but as a kid, I swam for a while. But then eventually, thank God, like because we ended up drifting like quite a ways down the beach. A lifeguard saw us and came and got us or something. And it probably wasn't even that big of a deal, but as a kid, it was probably so terrifying. You know, it felt like an eternity or something. But as an adult, I mean, we saw people. There have been times we've had to like help people. Like a group of friends is like freaking out because the buddy can't get in, so we all like work together to get him back or something. Because we used to do. I mean, me and my one friend Pete, when we were graduating high school and we just were getting into college, we would go out in hurricanes and we'd go body surfing. We're like, hell yeah, dude. Like, I don't know how we didn't break our necks. Because it's like you're riding, like, you're body surfing, quote unquote. You're just getting smashed by waves into like sandbars, is all we were doing. But we'd be going out there, dude. And we were like in between college class. We'd drive back here to the beach and like we'd go body surfing, get our asses. I'm like you'd be sitting there and you're like, he'd be out there body surfing. You'd just see his whole body tumbling through the air, like his head's underwater. He's just getting thrashed. You know what I mean? And then I would go out there do the same. It was so nice being young. Nowadays, you like bend over to pick up laundry, and I hurt my back. But oh, those are good old days. But I mean, we were so dumb. We were like swimming in like Black Flag, which they have different flag ratings and colors out here for like how dangerous it is. It was like Black Flag. Lifeguards aren't even on duty because it's so dangerous. And like we're out, the surfers are even like, whoa, dude, and we're just diving head first, like woo, right into the waves, getting like tossed around by riptides and stuff. But I mean, if you grow up out here and like, you're a teenager or a young adult or something like that, you're in good shape. I mean, you kind of learn what to do. You just gotta kind of work past it and then cut your way back in. You got to find the pocket of where the sandbar, and all of this really just equates to sandbars and rips. Riptides are really good indication of probably good fishing areas as well, or how sandbars are working, so you can determine how you should work your fly for structure or your plug. Yeah, riptides are really the big thing, probably. Yeah, man, it's good. It's nice. I should go swimming again. I gotta say though, man, like I'm not enjoying like sitting in the sun at 90 degrees anymore. You know what I mean? Like I think I'm gonna have to start bringing an umbrella. I used to just sit under the sun, but dude, it's getting hot now. Like if I'm out fishing or clamming or something like that, I'm wearing like really nice, UV lawn sleeve shirts that breathe, stuff like that. Because dude, that sun is just beaming down. Feel that UV rays cooking you. That is one thing, like, if I go out every day and I build up my tan because my father's Turkish genetics, then I'm good because I get a nice kind of Mediterranean color going on. But if I go out there right now and I don't wear enough sunblock, or I even though I'll probably wear enough, but I go swimming, so like it wears off in the first hour, dude, I just get. My mom's like Irish and English, French side, just gets absolutely destroyed. I get sunburn really, really bad. Just in general, my skin does like not do well against things like poison ivy and sunburn and stuff like that. Somewhat sensitive skin. But yeah, I think the last time I went to the beach was a couple years and I got sunburned so bad. Sort of thing where you gotta like put sunblock on every hour or so. Just because you go swimming, it just falls off, It just gets worn off. You just gotta reapply it every once in a while. That being said, it's almost done. It's almost done with summertime. We're getting into fall, so we're getting into fishing territory. All right. Not too shabby. So we got some Mickelson's tails tied up. I still got more of these to do. I was hoping to get the tails done, but what do you call it? I got like 6 or 7 more, so it's not that big of a deal. I'll do it after the stream. Um, I want to take a look at the Discord, see if anyone's been posting anything. And then I want to work on our table or work on our new roll your own fly game. Or we got to come up with a catchy name for it. Because I would like to make a sheet or like a printout essentially. If anyone would like to, either from the streams or from YouTube, would like to try it for themselves. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, we got some stuff. I think that's where we left off. Yeah. Let's take a look. Damn, dude. Look at that. From Chaz. Freshwater striper. On the fly, too. You could see that. What is that? Synthetic or something? I think somebody's moving a chair or something next door because it's like wall sounds. I don't know if you guys are hearing that, but that's a sick fish though. Check that out. Sheesh. Damn, dude. Looks like freshwater fish at least, right? It's got to be. It's got to be a wiper. Look at the belly on that. Oh yeah, Alabama. Oh yeah, creek striper. Yep. You know, it's funny. There are saltwater ponds and saltwater fishing spots that I could take you guys to that look exactly like this. Like it looks like you're fishing in a lake, or it looks like you're fishing in a creek. It's so weird. There's some spots here where it was probably like it probably was freshwater, and then the saltwater got cut into it or something over time. Because there were like lakes and stuff like that. I think literally one of the spots right by my house was a giant actual freshwater landlocked lake that got broken into by the bay because there were like trees and stuff growing, like freshwater trees, stuff that you would find in like lakes. I don't know, that'd be interesting to find out. Craggerole, hell yeah, dude. Never caught a smallmouth. I don't think I've ever caught a smallmouth. We don't have them. Salmon River Falls, dude. Hell yeah. Nice. What do we got going on here? Some little crawdad situation. Nice loop knot. That's a nice fish. No, we don't have them on Long Island. No. That's largemouth, right? Yeah. I've caught like rock bass. The ones with the red eyes, I think, right? And hold on, let me take a look. I think that's what they are, rock bass. Not rockfish. Yeah, rock bass. I've caught these in one of the lakes out here. These are cool. They look. See, that looks more like a crappie. That's a largemouth, right? Or is this a black? Or is it a black bass? I don't know. I've caught one of these before. They're cool. They got a red eye. Maybe I've caught a black bass before. Because there's largemouth. I feel like maybe there's a black bass as well. Oh, yeah, there's black bass. Yeah. This is what I'm thinking of, probably. Yeah. That's a red eye bass. Yeah, there's some interesting ones. And I was like, oh, dude, is this a smallmouth? Because it kind of looks like one. You know what I mean? To a certain degree. But I think it was just a black. They're like black bass or something, a rock bass. That was a fly rod one. Look, very cool. Yeah, no, there's no smallmouth on Long Island. There, at least not in the lakes that I fish. There might be some in some areas, but not on Eastern Long Island. unfortunately. All right. Okay, very cool. What else do we got? Oh yeah, we still got some stuff on the Discord. Oh, bamboozled with a 5 a.m. mouse eater. Hell yeah, dude, nighttime. Nice. Yeah, I've never nighttime fish night flies for largemouth. I should. We should probably do it in Riverhead. There's probably so many mice swimming across the river over there. There's probably a lot. I think we missed some of these. Oh, I remember looking at Jimmy's. I think we looked at Chaz's too. I remember this. This is a cool fly though. I do like this. It's probably a bead, right, or something, or maybe some sort of a eye, like mono eye, if you will. That is cool though. I like that. Now I don't think we saw these recently. Oh, I think we did maybe. But this right here, dude, this is my sort of jam. Like now we're cooking. You know what I mean? Very nice. I like this too. Would make a great all-around bass fly, striper fly. Hell yeah. What are you watching? World of Warcraft? World of Warcraft in the background or something? He's watching Mythic Raids. Very nice. Another, was that Buford or something? Like bulkhead-esque. And we got David, very nice. Damselfly, very cool. I mean, dude, this looks sick. We could really get a close-up. Check that out. Very nice. I like it. And then Gabe's overscrewed his screw on this apparently and broke it. So that's interesting. I remember he posted a photo of a popper or something though. All right. So what I'm thinking is I would like to refine, maybe we could brainstorm our list here for roll your own fly. You know, roll your own fly just might be the name, unless somebody can come up with something better, which shouldn't be hard. But you know, I got to name it something. But we have 8 numbers. I was thinking we could scale it to 6. You know what I mean? Or maybe we just keep 8. You know. But I was thinking like it might be tough. It's good to have like an all around technique that you can do with any material, right? So that's where something like palmerine deer hair, right? Dubbing, I feel like you can dub anything. I don't know how effective it'll be, but you can dub it. Spinning, you can spin feathers, you can spin flash technically. It's not going to react like deer hair, but you can do it. So I feel like you have to be able to use the technique with at least one of the, or it has to be with all of the materials. And the 4 main materials are synthetic materials, natural materials, feathers, any sort of feathers, and whatever they are. This is where you as the person doing this and potentially rolling up your own fly, you need to determine out of your pile of feathers how you're gonna V-tie your feathers. For instance, if you roll a 4, chaos flies. Oh yeah. So there's synthetic materials, natural materials, feathers, and flash are the 4 main material categories. Now the other thing is we could come up with another category. There is other categories. There's something that I like to call like, well, I don't know. Is there another categories? Because what I was gonna think of is there's like, you know, like the category of like rubber leg type stuff where you have easy body or whatever sort of material that doesn't fall into your traditional category. That could be your chaos pile. We could call that the chaos pile. Okay, see, these are iterations. You know what I mean? Let me grab, we'll just use a good old notepad as usual. So the types, and again, I'm sure most of the people watching this, you've probably heard this 10 times already, Jay, but just in case anyone came in, the whole idea is you have a table of techniques that you roll up in conjunction with a table of random materials or types of materials that you roll up. And there is then the tail section, the body, and the head. Now, I think that's the easiest way to break it up. You have three parts, essentially, right? You have the tail, the body, and the head. And that represents the areas on the hook shank. You know what I mean? Tail here, the body, and the head, right? But, so that's kind of the idea. And what we had is we had you guys vote on what materials we were going to use. So we were like, okay, for the tail, what do you guys want to use for the tail? On Twitch and YouTube, you guys voted in polls. We're going to use synthetic. So I think it is a good idea to have an outline because not everybody has a Twitch or YouTube chat. So it might be nice to have your types of materials and have a table for that to where you can randomize it. Because I plan on also just doing this for videos. What could be cool is before the end of the stream, we roll up the. Well, I would. Then again, I also kind of want to film it with the nice black background and me rolling the dice in 4K and picking from the chart. But that could be a cool thing, you know. We're probably going to do this on stream at times where we're going to be rolling up flies and then tying it because this is a fun way of. This is a fun thing to stream, you know, for sure. I like it for sure. I have a blank journal and did not know how to write my stuff. Did not know how to write my stuff down. Thanks. Are you being facetious? Facetious? I can't even say it. Facetious? Oh my god. Are you being sarcastic? Are you being serious? So let's do natural. Hair. And this could be bucktail, alpaca, whatever you want. You throw it in there. Then we have synthetics. Now Rev would know this. Is it? See, this is what I think. I think you should have the extreme things on the far ends. Because this is generally how they do it in tables. And you have the more common or normal, less crazy things in the middle. But for a D4, I feel like your chances of rolling a 1 through... Like, is it more likely to roll a 2 or a 3 than a 1 or a 4? No, it's a 1 in 4 chance of rolling it. But once you get a higher number of die, your chances of rolling a number in between those and not an extreme. If you roll, I don't know. There's some sort of thing going on with math. You know, this is where aliens come into play and conspiracies about numbers and triangles and things like that. It's far too much for me. But so we got natural hair, synthetic, feathers. Right, again, any feathers. And then flash. Because I feel like it needs to be a broad enough category. Like, you know, there's 5 million types of flash materials. And then it's important to have different textures, right? That's one of the main things for this. Bucktail's not the same as sheep's hair, right? But like squimpish hair isn't the same as supreme hair, let's say. And that's important because supreme hair may be more easy to tie with when you're doing figure eights than something like squimpish or vice versa. So you are going to need to pick from your pile of materials that is in this subsective category or something. You know. And then the next step is you have this, but you can also have where you have a box with like 20 slots, right? And you have it split up. You boop, 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 right? And you can just do whatever, 10 lines, and you're right, all right, well, I have bucktail. I'm going to put bucktail here. And then you're like, okay, I have marabou, I have silly legs, whatever. I mean, maybe not silly legs, but you can. And you write down all your different, or you can write even different colors or something. That's the whole idea. And then you can roll a dice, right? And be like, all right, well, I got yellow marabou. I'm going to be tying figure eight style. And then for the head, I rolled up Supreme hair. We got half hollow, right? So I feel like there's going to be 3 tables. One will be blank that people can fill out. And then the whole idea is it'll just have a little thing where it's like, if it's 1 through 6, roll a d6. If it's 1 through 8, you can always like, and then you can always just re-roll if you need to. And then if not, you can always just use this, which has the general categories that you can pool from, right? Now for the techniques, though, this is what we gotta figure out. We need to refine this, I think. Now maybe we need to play with it more before we start touching it. You know what I mean? But I was thinking high-low tie. I feel like a high-low tie is a very broad, general technique that you can do, and that can work with a lot of things. Because again, I feel like every technique on here needs to be able to work with every material. Because it would suck to have to like re-roll it. Serious, I have a hard time taking my ideas and writing them down so I can understand. So I call it senioritis. No, that's all good. Yeah, I mean, I've never like, it's funny. I've never like journaled flies. In the past, I used to do this when I was younger. I used to draw the flies and write the type of materials and what it was tied and what areas, because that's kind of how fly tying was. It was, you had the traditional thing where it had a list of the patterns or what the pattern was, the tail section, how to tie it from this to this to this, and there'd be one photo and it would have the description of how it was tied, very basic, which is it would say tail and it would say feathers, then this, then that, then this. It wouldn't be like, first you start by taking your tail, you know what I mean? That's how fly patterns were categorically written universally forever. So I used to do that when I was younger, but then I just started just like tying, and you kind of get a feel and an idea, whatnot. So I kind of fell out of it. But I used to do it. I used to kind of like journal it, if you will, my fly tying ideas. You know what I mean? But over time, you also, I mean, it is always a good thing to do. They say it's the same thing for painting minis. You can have a little journal, and every time you start painting a new army, you take the paint and you paint a little bit on the pages of the journal and write what color it is. So years later, you can come back and you know what you used. It's probably the same sort of thing you can do with your flies, especially if you're trying wild and wacky stuff. Because some people, and including me, there are times where I'm just going to tie the same sort of 5 flies for the next 10 years and fish with those, you know what I mean? And then you probably don't need to do that. But it's always good. I used to keep a fishing journal. That's really a good thing. Keeping track of what times of year and what tide cycles of during that time of year it's the best fishing stuff. But dude, you gotta stay on point. If anyone has a fishing journal that has kept up with it for years, I commend you, because I tried doing that and I just couldn't do it. I think I did it for about half a year and then kind of fell off and then did it again for a little bit. But you have to do it every day you go fishing. You gotta write it down, write down the date, the temperature, the time, the water temp, anything, any info you can get, because years later, you can use that as a literal like fishing Bible, essentially, for your local area. Things change over time, but fishing journals are very, very useful. Very, if you can just stay on top of it. All right, we're gonna take. My voice is already going out. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna keep chit-chatting about or talking about the Table of Doom is what I'm calling it to myself. But I think what we'll do is maybe we'll try and like come up with like an official little sheet, if you will, or a layout of what we're gonna do for this, and because maybe no one will really even care and want it. But in my idea, it's like, oh, cool, this is going to be a series I'm going to do. And people be like, oh, can I get that sheet too? I would like to do this myself. In reality, probably nobody's going to want to do it. But in my mind, I'm like, I should have an actual, like, somewhat semi-professional thing where it's like, a sheet someone can download and print. And it's like doesn't look like a hobo made it like me, because I'm a hobo, So All right, we're gonna take a quick little break. I'm just gonna hit the hookah lounge real quick and grab a drink. We'll be back in a sec. All right. Appreciate all you folks hanging out, by the way. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Stay tight, all right? Yeah, keep it tight. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Aiden. Knuckle buster. Are you good? Do you need me to do anything?
Yeah, I might need a ride. Yes.
Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna turn now.
I'm gonna try and get on the valve.
Yeah, get on the valve. All right, you're doing good. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna move us away.
Is that a little one?
No, that's a nice one.
Let's go!
Come here, hold next to Albie. Good job.
That's sick.
All right. Nice.
Let's go! Woo! Albie slap!
Good job, dude.
Yee!
Looking down the barrel of a 12 gauge little tuny, bro. On the Albie door too.
Oh my god, dude! What the fuck? Woohoo! Oh my god. Oh my god! Gotta turn the boat so I can cast. Oh my god, dude! Alright, get back to catching him, Diego.
You're gonna go on now. There's a shark.
Frigates!
Albie?
Frigates.
Frigate.
Whoa! Whoa! That's gotta be bluefin or something. Look at
Hell yeah, dude. To grab a fish like that, to grab a fly like that, a big deceiver.
All right, we're back. Will we see Albies this year? The world may never know. That is the true question. All right. Now, what I want to do is I want to work on laying this thing out. I don't have Word document though, so I'm trying to see how. And this is where you chat. I mean, this is for the people. It's also going to be in videos, possibly for the rest of this channel's future of me making this sort of video. So, what's the? I have Cratera, which is what I use for all my thumbnails. It's a free, like, it's like a, what would you call it? It's like a free Photoshop, if you will, but it's like, if you know what you're doing, you can make crazy stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. But that being said, I think we can use it for whatever. So what is normal paper size? A4? Is it A4 or A5? I'm trying to remember. Whatever, we're just gonna pick something. Okay. So, here's the idea. We have a sheet. It's gonna say, roll your own fly. And it'll have like a little text box and describing what you do, right? Or how this little system or table of randomization works for flies. And what I'm thinking is we have a box. Okay, that's not a box. That's kind of cool though. I don't know what that is, but that, all right. How do we make a box? Here we go. This is a box. What I'm thinking is we have a table. Something like that, right? And then it'll be numbered. I mean, this is not a Word document, but you get the idea, right? 1, you know, something like that. And it'll have lines, yada, yada, yada. Let's see, can we make lines? Look at that, we can make lines. You get the idea. This is a very basic. Don't judge me. This is not permanent. I might just make it like this instead of Word. Because I was going to go do it on my mom's computer. I don't have Word document, so. But you get the idea, right? We have our table here. Right? Boom, 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 boom. And then obviously, whatever, it was, number 1 is spinning. Let's say, you get the idea, right? And then we'll just, for shits and giggles, hollow. Okay. Again, this does not reflect Li Fly's mic or the artistic skills of Li Fly's mic incorporated. You get the idea, right? And the table's a little big, but whatever. So next, what I'm thinking is we'll have another 2 tables. One will be, okay, that's again not a box. We'll have another table here, and this will be the 1, 2, 3, 4, having the list of types of materials. So this will be right, like that, and this will be 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. With the natural, synthetic, the feathers and all that. Very cool. And then what we'll do is we'll have another box down here. Like that, right? And what this will be is, this will be the D20 whatever. You get the idea, yada, yada, yada. There's going to be 10 lines and then one down the middle. And you could fill out your own boxes, right? And then what you could do is there'll be a, what the hell is this thing? I don't even know what that is. Okay, if you want, this will be a D20 table. Or whatever, right? Wherever that would be, right there. So, and you can fill in your own box. So you could be like, all right, cool. Well, I got ostrich hurl. So I'll put ostrich hurl. I'll put, maybe we get rid of that. Whatever. And then we could have a little text box explaining that if you have 6 materials, then you roll a D6. If you have 8 materials, then you roll a D8. If you only have 7, then you roll a D8 and you take 1 through 7. If you get an 8, you re-roll it. There could be something like that. You know what I mean? I'll have like a little it'll be a little description box here describing how you actually utilize the sheet. And maybe we can include that there. Or we could have a little text thing down under here, under the fill your own chart. But this is how I'm thinking, like layout wise, right? If anyone has any feedback, let me know. And the other thing is, do we like the current techniques, that we got? Or do we make any changes, or do we use this? Because the whole idea is I'm going to have a video where I randomize up a fly. I do a normal fly tying video, but I also go a little bit more in depth in terms of explaining. Instead of saying, well, now I'm going to take marabou and we're going to put marabou on, I'm going to say, okay, well, we rolled up feathers for the body and we rolled up hollow technique. So we need to hollow tie feathers. I have these 6 types of feathers that I can use, right? Out of my pool of feathers, right? But what am I going to use and why am I going to use it? So why did I pick ostrich hurl and feathers while we were streaming? Well, because that is what I envision we can actually hollow tie. The ostrich hurl is long enough and it has a little bit of stiffness, and the marabou will provide the support on the inside to simulate the stiffness of the bucktail for our hollow ties. And that's the reasoning, and that's where I was like, okay, this is what materials we're going to use for this, right? Craggerwell came up with a good idea, using polar flash for the head material. I should probably show, we have the fly right here, right? And there's also another version I tied up. I filmed an entire another version of the fly, but then realized that the material was too long. So one thing with this fly is, and this is another good thing about this game, if you will. What's going on, K-Fish? is that it's going to force you to also think about what, like how you're tying the material in. Now we already know that when we did this live the other day, but if you tie the flash too long or you tie the ostrich hair too long in the hollow ties, then what's going to happen is as you cast it, it's probably going to just foul like this, right? So I actually recorded this and I was like, yeah. And I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, we discussed the whole reason. And this looks sick, right? This is probably going to fish really well, especially with a swing in it, like a spay rod. But I think in terms of practicality, you want to tie the material shorter so that way it's less likely to foul when casting, right? And let's say the fish are blowing up in front of you. Last thing you want to do is worry about the material fouling. So what we did is we shortened the length of the ostrich hurl and the flash to where it's less likely to foul. Because you can see, even though this is in a 4-aught hook, the material is much longer as well. This is in a 2-aught. So I think that it'll be an interesting video series in that regard, in terms of me, instead of saying, this is how we tie a surf candy, to then being literally, how do we design a fly from the ground up? And what materials do you choose? And is it even going to work? This turned out really well. I think we could actually, this is like a new pattern. We can call it the 888. Essentially just a hollow fly using weird materials for some of the hollow techniques, no doubt. Cheers, by the way. But, you know, I think this could be a cool video series because we're essentially designing or developing new patterns, and a lot of it will be taking techniques and from other flies and potentially just tying other flies or something. But you know, there's no doubt we're gonna come up with, or we're gonna end up, and if you end up playing this game yourself, you're gonna end up tying stuff that nobody's ever tied before, right? Just from the weird combination of materials and techniques that you come up with, which is kind of the fun in random tables. Why I really like it for like tabletop role play or like things like that. Like if I DM a game of Savage Worlds, I utilize these sort of things a lot if I do any sort of prep or if I'm coming up with ideas. Because like, who the hell wants it? Just give me 2 keywords and I can come up with a whole backstory behind something, right? So it is fun doing this. I've never once hollow tied feathers. I've hollow tied feathers in addition to bucktail, but I've never solely hollow tied feathers or flash. So that's 2 things with materials that I've tied with for 30 years that I've never done before. So that was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed, you know, the idea of this and stuff. So I think this is going to be a cool, and it's always hard as somebody who makes YouTube videos to, you know, keep coming up with ideas to stay consistent and uploading. So now we have a whole new game that we could play. And now, not only that, I show you the process of us essentially coming up with it in the video, and I'm tying the fly, and I teach you how to tie the fly. But then the whole idea is we're going to take it and we're going to go fishing. And I will say there's inspiration from the dude Marlon Bates, who has his channel where he makes lures, and he's like, let's come up with a brand new lure or something, or let's come up with a lure or make a lure, and then he goes and fishes it. So, because I need a motivation to go fishing more, you know, and especially when the fishing sucks in the summertime or something. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think we're going to end up having some failures in terms of the combination of materials and execution, perhaps more so on my part. And we're probably not going to catch fish half the time anyway, because I don't. But, well, you know, I think it'll make for some good content for sure, and possibly some cool new flies. So, but again, if anyone has any ideas and how we can better utilize the table of doom and all that, or how we could lay it out, I think that's pretty good though. I mean, don't mind you, I'm going to have proper boxes with non-squiggly lines, and it'll probably be spaced a little bit more eloquently, right? But I think we have our main table, and then the main material table, and then the fill your own table for materials. And I think that should be pretty good. and I'll work on making this up for the next episode of Roll Your Own Fly, or the first proper episode of Roll Your Own Fly. That's what we're gonna call it, I guess. And we'll see how that goes. And I'm gonna try and make that a Sunday thing, as my dedicated every Sunday I have to upload. And then whatever else, because there's going to be other videos we have to do. We have a whole bucktail series that I've been coming up with the idea for the next bucktail video, and I'm thinking is a video talking about every sort of I guess I'm trying to think of the right word. Every sort of practical technique for bucktail, you know what I mean? Like going over what all the different types of flies for straight bass and saltwater that you could tie with bucktail, but also more so talking about the technique. So I'll give like examples, like your standard tying technique, and I'll talk about, of course, you could tie everything from blondes to deceivers to then the bucktail deceiver and the bucktail, and I'll give a quick overview of a bucktail deceiver in that technique in terms of tying a bucktail collar. But then what we could do is, of course, discuss hollow flies, which we just discussed stiffness of bucktail and how stiffness of bucktail, how it reacts to hollow fly tying as well in the last video. But, there's hollow, then we can go over the bulkhead stuff, go over spinning, how you can spin deer hair and things like that. So that is one thing I'm thinking. I don't know, it's tough to try and formulate ideas and how I'm going to lay this out. So that's why it always helps when you folks either on the stream have, I see a comment, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Or somebody leaves a comment more often than not in YouTube, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know what? And I usually comment too. I'm like, that's a good idea. I'm going to make a video on that. So if you have any good ideas on what the next topic for bucktail should be. But I think that one's a good one. Like techniques you can do with bucktail and flies that correspond with those techniques. So, and like everyday stuff you're going to be doing. It's kind of the idea, you know what I mean? But, yeah. All right. Well, let me write down also here a potential option with a question mark is chaos. The chaos material. And that could be like, we're talking silly legs, we're talking who knows what, sort of the wacky stuff, you know what I mean? What's that material that they make the gummy minnows out of? Silly skin or whatever that's called, or whatever that sort of stuff, And you're like, all right, here we go. But that is a little, maybe. We'll see. I do like the idea, though. The DM inside me likes it. The Dungeon Master or GM. All right. Now, for the official, though, types of techniques, we have spinning. And again, we talked about this in terms of the variety of types of techniques. For instance, you want the most extreme types of techniques, I feel like, on the outside, and then the most common ones on the inside. That's how I would kind of want it laid out. So the spinning, dubbing, figure eight, V-tie, standard, palmered, half hollow, and hollow, which we can, I think half hollow is a pretty solid one to have on there. But palmered, that is one I'm a little worried about, because I feel like almost every other one you 100% can do with one of these materials. But palmering, though, even though that was a really good one from Craggerroll, I feel like that's a specific thing to essentially just, you're almost limited to just feathers and a small, like maybe dubbing brushes. I guess you could count that as palmering, but it's really not. So I am tempted to do high-low tie. Because for anyone that doesn't know the high-low ties, that's where we have the, you have the material essentially tied where you're tying stacks of bucktail right on top of each other. And this is where we get classic Sadati slammers. Like this, where there's stacks of bucktail stacked on top of each other, slowly moving up the hook shank. And that's before hollow techniques. This is how you built bunker flies, for instance. So I feel like when it comes to high-low tying, you can high-low tie anything on here because you could take flash and do that. That'd be good. I think so. If you're okay with that, I think you were the one that recommended palmering. So high, low tie. Now the one thing is though, I want to get the most extremes, right? Spinning and hollow tying, I'd say, are the two most extreme things on here in terms of spectrums. You have spinning and then you have hollow is over here, right? We got half hollow, high low. Maybe we could switch. I think that's good as a 6. Standard we probably want like maybe 4, and you put V tie or whatever, it doesn't matter. 4 and 5 is kind of middle of a D8, right? So the most like common techniques that you would do every day, I feel like a V tie is pretty standard, you know, like a pretty common thing. Figure 8 is a pretty common thing. Now we're starting to get into wacky territory, right? We got dubbing, and then we got spinning. Potentially spinning here and dubbing up top. But, nah, I think this is good. I feel like this right here is, like, pretty good. Yeah, this might be it. This might be how we leave it. The only thing I was thinking is we take 2 away and we make it a D6, because how many folks have you know, there's probably a lot of folks here that have never even seen this die in your life in person. But almost everybody has a D6. There's got to be a D6 over there. I don't know if I have one here, but you get the idea. A classic Yahtzee dice, you know, everybody's got one of those probably if you look around. I mean, dubbing as a dubbing loop is usable for any material. Yeah, but when I mean dubbing, that's the technique. So you take it, you wrap it around your thread, and then you wrap it around the hook is what I'm thinking. That's like dubbing. Like to dub something. Oh, cool. You're going to put dubbing on the hook? All right, cool. Use bucktail. What? That's right. Dub it. You know what I mean? Because there are ways you can get around it. Like you said, making a dubbing loop potentially, and then just wrapping that. I guess that could count as dubbing. Like wrapping something. But you can also say that it's like its own thing. Like spinning something, for instance. Not spinning in this regard, but like a dubbing brush, if you will. I like that though. I think that's good. We got our 4 types of material, potentially chaos, right? Which is interesting. But then we got a nice little D4 going on here. So that's kind of nice. Then you got a D8. If we were to make it a D6, which, I mean, it's a very valid argument to say make it a D6 because not many people will have this. And the actual satisfaction of rolling, chaos could be your wastebasket. Oh, I like that. Now we're on to something. We could just call it the wastebasket. The actual physical satisfaction of rolling a dice, there's just nothing to it. You know what I mean? How many 6s can we roll? Never mind. So if we do make it a D6, I feel like we're more likely. The other option is then I get my own custom D8s, and I keep a D8, and maybe I can sell some D8s to buy a motor for the future when I have like 10,000 subs and it's a popular video series. You gotta think as the entrepreneur. I do like your idea, though. The chaos is the wastebasket. Or if you get, see, it's hard. Like, it would be cool if there was a doubles mechanic, where if you roll doubles, in terms of you got a 4 for the flash, and you're also V-tying the flash, then you could, it's like a thing. I don't know. Yeah, the wastebasket's sick. But what's the chaos mechanic? Because I feel like I like the D4. Now we have 5 in this table, and having 5 is not good because there's no like D5s or something, right? So there would have to be like if you triggered something by rolling double, or if you rolled like double 1s or something, or if you rolled a 1 multiple times, you have to use your wastebasket or something. If you get doubles, if you get double, you roll again for an extra material. Yeah. I think there would be a cool mechanic to, if you roll doubles, that there's a positive to where it's something to look forward to. Because that's always a fun thing. Like Savage Worlds with exploding dice, if you roll the highest number on the dice, you can keep rolling and you add you're like, whoa! And you roll 3 8s, you're like, oh my god, he got a 24 when he only needed a 4 to succeed, and everyone's cheering, like, yay! You know? So if you got doubles, you could, like, maybe choose roll again and then pick from the 2 materials, or you have to use the 2 materials, so at least 2 materials is easier than 1, or something like that. Yeah. The problem is, though, we only have 4 types of materials, and we have 8 techniques. You know what I mean? So the idea is, if you can add another material, then we could have 6. We have natural hair, synthetics, feathers, flash, and wastebasket for the chaos, which would be maybe a 1 or 6. What's another material we could add to this to bump this up to a D6? And then we could take 2 things away, make this a D6, and then we have doubles. Then we have everything we want. We would probably take away dubbing, because it's kind of, we'd take away dubbing and we'd take away half hollow, because these are the 2, I would say, weakest, maybe. Maybe spinning instead of dubbing. I don't know. I feel like half hollow's a kind of weak, because it's like almost a mix between, you know, and dubbing's kind of like, you could take those 2 away, but we need another material. Then we have D6s. So you could roll, okay, let me roll up my material. Oh, I got a 2 for synthetic hair. Oh, and I got a 2, which would be, in this version, figure 8. And you're like, double, let's go. And you get to roll again on the materials, for instance. 5 and 6 could be pick 2 or pick 3. Oh, yeah. Maybe one of the options for materials. I like 6, though, as chaos. I like the chaos option, which is wastebasket. So that way we encourage people to reuse the material that they're going to throw out. Number 5 could be, if you roll a 5, choose. You can choose your own material, for instance. So 1 would be natural, or maybe 1 would be chaos. It's like if you're rolling a 1, it's never a good thing in games unless it's a roll low system. Or we can make 6. Well, who knows? Maybe 6. I kind of like 6 as chaos, but we have natural, synthetic, feathers, flash. Pick your own material, or it could be pick 2. So you're forced to use 2. Foam. Now here's the question, though, Peace Pipe. Can you use that material in every single technique? That's one of the important things. They have to be cross-compatible. I guess you could technically hollow tie foam. Technically. High-low tie, you could. Standard, sure. V-tie, I guess. Spinning, though. And I guess you could argue, like, how could you spin flash? But what I was thinking in my brain, maybe you can now tell me how you would spin foam, is if you take angel hair and you bunch it up, like, it's pretty, what's the word that I'm thinking of? The texture's pretty resembles the sort of material that you can almost, like ram's wool, where you can tie it in the middle and then pull it back and condense it and then keep going and then trim it, for instance, to spin it. So you want to make sure that every type of material on the list can be, this is really the important thing. Each type of material needs to be able to be tied in this specific sort of way. But I do like that. I think foam could fit into I guess that's a good point. Where would foam be? So this is maybe where number 5 would be choose your own material, right? And then you could just, for instance, grab foam or grab any sort of thing you want or pick from any sort of material you have and then just figure out the technique, right? So yeah, that's something to think about. But I do like that. Thank you for the idea. I'm trying to think if there is another sort of type of subset or class of, or category of material that will fall into this, for instance. And I've been like, so like, well, let's say there's something like silly legs and like any sort of wacky material like that, like body type materials. That's where it's like, I don't know if you can use them for certain things, right? Now, mind you, I think we're going to get rid of 2 of these. I think we're going to get rid of, I really feel like most of these materials you can spin. I've spinned almost all these materials except flash. And feathers, but I feel like we could easily do feathers with marabou, for instance, or something. So I feel like spinning's cool. I like spinning, right? But it is iffy. It's like one of the iffy ones. I feel like half hollow, you could tie any material. And when I say half hollow, that's where you have the hook, right? And at the front, we have Senno's laser dub we're using to build up the head on a fly. And let's say you have bucktail, right? Yada, yada, yada. And what you do is you take the material and you have it pretty long in the back and a little bit shorter in the front, and you tie it right in the middle like this. And then you fold it back like a hollow in the front of this, and you wrap in front. And you end up with a really nice bulky head in the front of a fly. You can glue 3D eyes on. It's a very common sort of thing. It's something that we do for my mullet marauder fly. It's very common in like musky sort of flies and largemouth bass, certain flies. So that being said, half hollow, I feel like you can half hollow everything on this list, no questions asked. Spinning, it's a little iffy. So do we get rid of spinning and dubbing? Because you get what I'm saying, right? Like, dubbing, I feel like you can do it to anything, but is it going to really contribute to the fly tying and like coming up with new patterns and trying new and exciting things? To like take angel hair and wrap it on there and just wrap it around I mean, it might wrap it around the middle. I do like the D8 table, but I will say if we can make them both D6, which I think we already figured out, we can add either a 6 or a 5 as the option for choose your own material. Or like pick your own, whatever. Choose your own. It could be a pick 2 where you're forced, or it's not like forced, but it's, yeah, I guess it is forcing you to pick from two of the 4 choices: natural, synthetic, feathers, and flash. You can pick from 2 of them, but I kind of like choose your own. It's like, oh, nice, I got to choose my own. Nice. At least I don't need to worry about what I'm gonna V-tie for the body. I can choose what I want, so that's cool. It adds a little bit of like, okay, you can make your own decision if you roll this one number, right? And then 6 is chaos. Use your wastebasket. Good luck. Like if we got chaos right now, just because I cleaned it recently, all we have is bucktail and some crystal flash. Very short bucktail, but I mean, we could do something with this stuff. So, you know what I mean? And if you don't have anything in your wastebasket, you can use, again, if anything you don't have or something, you can just roll again. That's the whole idea, right? But, well, I guess if you have any ideas, I think I'm going to probably cut down 2 of these. We'll make both a D6. Unfortunately, meaning that the 888 can never be ever recreated again because we'll never have the D8 one, but we make it D6, D6, and you have your own where you could fill out we'll have one with 20 slots where someone can roll a d20 just because it's like there's probably some of you folks that played D&D before. Is the half hollow just a reverse tie? Maybe that's what's going on, Craig. I don't know. Is it? What's a reverse tie? Is a reverse tie just a hollow tie? Real quick, I'll show you what the let's show you on the Vice what I'm talking about. I haven't wait, do I have a Mullet Marauder video or have I not made that yet? I have one from long ago, but no, I haven't remade it. Okay, so maybe that'll be the next tie-in tutorial is the Mullet Marauder. How about this? Can I just show you my old one? I think I can, right? This was also filmed during a live stream like 6 years ago, probably. A long time ago. Look at that. I still had the the same thing in the same exact spot too. Tie it so the materials are going towards the hook eye. Flip it over so the butt ends. Flip it over the butt ends and lock it down. Very similar to that. I like that. But no, this is where you tie the material essentially almost in the hat in the middle. I'll show you right here. Here we go. So this is Senno's laser deb. Now, normally what I would do is, I'm a little off here, but this is also, this section will get pulled off. This is loosey-goosey. But you have the material kind of somewhat long right about here. And this is this purple stuff, right? So it's a little bit longer in the back and it's a little shorter in the front. You tie it almost in the middle though. And then what you do is, so like this, for instance, you can see we've built up this nice body here, top and bottom, which we already have a nice profile. But then what you do is you then hollow tie this, essentially front section, where you fold it back. There's the old school Regal too, which that baby was sunburnt back then. Look at that. And then what you do is you pull this back and we're going to build like essentially like a hollow tie in front of it. You can wrap on front and on top of it, but I usually do like a thread dam in front. It depends. You can do vice versa. You can tie on top of it. Sometimes I'll tie on top of it just to help secure it a little bit. But there you go. And it builds up a really nice head. You see people doing this in muskie and pike flies a lot. Or like if there's like game changer-esque sort of flies, you know, where they're articulated and there's multiple jointed sections. A big head like this provides a ton of water hitting it, so it flows over the head and then moves, which I used it for a flatwing tail, right? Which is how I was tying these for saltwater edge. Now I do them with tented hackle. If I ever do tie these for saltwater edge, which I tied some, I think last year, I do them in flatwing. But what happens is any sort of nice feathery tail and the marabou in the rear and all this sort of stuff, the bucktail, this big head's gonna get, the water's gonna hit it, and this hydrodynamics sort of situation where the water flows and comes back and hits the tail, and the tail starts going crazy. So that's the half hollow. And I feel like you can do this with feathers. You could do this with flash. You could do this with natural hair. You could do this with synthetic hair. So this is actually how we finished the head on the Kinky Mother by Johnny Kings. It's what I call a half hollow. Right here, you see? We're essentially tying it in the middle, but I try to have most of the material, or have it just like a millimeter or two, ever so slightly longer in the rear, because that just helps with the profile in terms of how the material tapers. This is a V-tie though, I think. There we go. This is the hollow tie, or half hollow, I call it. Now, I think Johnny King just says he hollow ties it, but. And maybe he does just straight up hollow tie it, and I do it slightly differently, but I think I'm doing it the same way he does it. So. He just says, and then we're going to do a hollow technique at the end, like a hollow tie. But it's not like he's tying it in from the butt ends, right? He's tying it in like this, I believe. So I was like, you know what? Let's call it the half hollow. You know? This new thread I've been using, dude, I think it's the Unimono or whatever it is. It's thinner and it's nice, but it is definitely much easier to break than the Danville Fine Mono, which is thicker than this. So in the last video, I broke the thread too. It's always like, because I'm so used to putting in a ton of pressure, but I will say it is very nice. It is very nice. I think I like this almost more, but it sucks because I really like putting a lot of pressure on my thread. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, that's the half hollow. I think the half hollow is good. And I think I could clarify, or maybe I could always describe it. We'll make in the first episode, proper episode of this series, Roll Your Own Fly. I want to make a nice sheet, right? So anyone can download it and you guys could do this yourself. But, or you could print it or whatever. Or you can make your own sheet, whatever. I would like to have it nicely laid out so I can make a video and be like, all right, and describe how it works, describe how to do it, and then we're going to roll up a fly, we're going to tie it, and then I'm going to go fishing with it. That's the idea. And then we make a series where, once a week or, we'll try and stick to that schedule. I'll go and I'll tie them and, go fishing if it's not wintertime. If it's wintertime, maybe we'll go fishing for pickerel. But wintertime, we're probably not going to go fishing. So it'll be a seasonal. We'll still make the videos, but or maybe we'll wait till the wintertime starts back up, or springtime starts to start the season up. Maybe it's a seasonal season. Who knows? I gotta tie up more saltwater flies, doing some warm water and trout flies for what seems like forever. Ah, yeah. Well, you do it. You mean tying it for yourself, or you tying them like commercially or something? It's Albie and Benito time. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, I got sand eel candies back there for the fall for surf guys and teasers. We got Albie flies working up for customers of mine that are getting ready to go Benito and Albie fishing. Just for you. Well, you got to fill the boxes. There's times where there were times where I largemouth bass fish more than saltwater over the years, because you go through phases where you're like, oh hell yeah, dude. But what do you call it? There were times where I was super super into largemouth, and I was just tying mice flies and stuff. That's another thing we should do. I should make some videos for like mice flies and stuff, and frog flies, how to tie, like spin some deer hair or do some stuff like that, and then we go fish for some largemouth. You know what I mean? That's the next step up in my YouTube game. I would like to step up my content and make some like better videos, longer videos as well for the YouTube algorithm. But like that incorporate, we tie the flies and then we also go fishing with them. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like an idea. How's it going, Dad Life? Hope everything's going good. But all right, there we go. I mean, this was look, this wasn't a very exciting stream for fly tying. I whipped up some Mickelson tails and we did a lot of discussion. But the whole idea is, I wanted to kind of, and thank you so much to you folks for always helping with the ideas for all these random stream things and stuff like that, or always giving me good ideas for videos. If you ever have any ideas, and I'm sure some folks have already given me some, and I've already been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to that, and I haven't gotten to it. But if you ever want to see something in particular, always let me know in the YouTube comments or something like that, or you can say it during the stream. I'll try and write it down. But because that always helps, because it's tough, man, trying to be consistent and making good videos. I guess you could use the term good in quotation marks when it comes to my videos, but still, it's tough to be consistent and coming up with different ideas. That was the whole idea behind this right here, right? In randomizing flies, coming up with something cool to make it interesting and different, you know? So, but anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you had a good time. Next week, what we're going to do is we're probably going to play with our new version of our roll your own fly game or randomizer, and I'll have the sheet printed out, and we'll roll up some flies and try it out and see how it works. And then you folks can always, I'll try and make it public too. You know, I'll try and either make like a Google Drive doc that's shareable to the public. You know, I got to figure out how to do that safely. So I think I think we're onto something here. This will be a cool little video series down the road. I'm always looking to come up with or find topics and ideas that people will want to watch. It's a tough thing, dude, making YouTube videos, you know, and constantly having to deal with the algorithm and being like, dude, this video didn't do as good. This one did good, but why? And this and that. And, you know, trying to figure out this world called YouTube. It's a game out there. So, but I'm just trying to make good videos. But the problem is you want people to watch them, right? So that's where YouTube recommending them comes into play. So it helps to figure it out. But anyways, I hope you folks have a awesome night, and you guys have an awesome weekend. Things are going good? Good. I'm glad to hear it, dude. Glad to hear it. Looks like the kayak's working out. You like the random fly stuff? Gonna need some of that? Hell yeah. Well, I'm gonna put this together. Either I'm gonna use a Word document or Criteria or something. I'm gonna make a nice document, like a sheet, and you can either print it out or you can just download it on your phone and just keep it, and then you can always use Google to roll dice if you don't have dice. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to make it a D6 and D6, and just about everybody has a D6. You could probably walk down the road and find a D6 to use. So, but I think that'll work. I kind of do like the D8, but anyways, enough rambling. Thank you so much, chat. You have an awesome night. Have an awesome weekend. And I got to work on some videos. I'm going to be working on a video for our second channel on YouTube, Mike Rolls Dice. If you haven't checked that out, speaking of all this dice rolling, it'll give me an opportunity to shill my second channel. And what do you call it? I got to film a couple more fly time videos. So probably try and work on this right here. Maybe go fishing. We'll see. So thank you so much. Craig, have an awesome night. Dad's Life, Cragger Roll, Peace Pipe, appreciate it. K-Fish, David, Rev, Old Smuggler, Mike, anyone that's lurking, thank you so much. You guys have an awesome night, chat, and awesome weekend. All right, we'll see you guys.